You arrive in the Wild West with a dream and a duffel bag. Maybe you're here to find gold. Maybe you're running from something. Doesn't matter. Because the second you step off that wagon and onto the dry earth, the first thing you notice isn't the danger of outlaws or the sound of gunfire. No, it's the heat. Not the kind of heat you're used to. This is different. It's dry, relentless. And it doesn't just sit on your skin. It reaches down your throat, into your lungs, and pulls the moisture straight out of you. You take a breath and feel like you're inhaling sand. The sun above you is merciless. Not a single cloud in sight. It beats down on your shoulders, your neck, your scalp. You brought a hat, but it's thin, too thin. Your shadow clings to your feet, small and useless. The ground beneath you is cracked like broken porcelain. Dust swirls around your ankles with every step, and already your mouth is starting to feel dry. You brought water. Of course you did, but not enough, because nothing quite prepares you for just how fast the heat takes it from you. You sip your canteen sparingly. You tell yourself to ration it. You're careful, but careful isn't enough. By midday, it's empty. You tip it back. A drop. That's it. Your tongue feels thick. Your lips sting. Your skin feels tight, stretched too far across your bones. You've barely walked a mile since morning, and already you feel lightheaded. There's sweat on your forehead, but not much, because even your body knows it can't spare the moisture. There's a tree in the distance. You think you see shade. You start walking faster, but every step kicks up more dust. And the tree? It's farther than it looked. Out here, everything is farther than it looks. Distances are deceptive. The horizon plays tricks on you, and the ground, it just keeps going. By the time you reach it, if you reach it, you're staggering. You sit under the branches, if they can even be called that, and find the shade isn't as cool as you hoped. The wind carries no relief. It's hot too, like standing in front of an oven with the door open. You try to swallow. Nothing comes. You're not just thirsty. You're dehydrated. Your head pounds. Your hands tremble. You lie down in the dirt, and the earth feels just as warm as the sun above. This isn't dramatic. This isn't unusual. This is normal. This is what it means to walk unprepared into the West. You think about water. Clean, clear water. Back home, it came from taps, from wells, from rivers that actually flowed. Out here, water is treasure. Out here, people die looking for it. Or worse, they find it and drink it too fast. Or drink it dirty and pay with days of sickness. You finally make it to a town. Small, quiet. You stumble into a saloon. Ask for water. They bring you a tin cup filled with something cloudy and warm. It tastes like iron. It smells like mud. You drink it anyway, because you don't care what's in it. You just need something wet. Later, your stomach cramps. Your vision blurs. And then, you understand. The Wild West didn't kill you with bullets. It didn't need to. It just waited. Waited for you to forget how important water is. Waited for you to overestimate yourself. Waited for your body to fail. And it always did. People think survival means toughness, guns, grit. But the truth? Out here, the first thing you had to conquer was thirst. And most people didn't. So the next time you see a film where the cowboy rides across a sunlit plain without breaking a sweat, just remember, that hat isn't for style. It's armor. That canteen on his belt? That's life. And the dust on his clothes? That's the memory of everyone who came out here thinking they could handle the heat. They couldn't. And now you know why. You made it through the dust, through the heat. You survived your first day in the Wild West, barely. But the worst isn't the sunburn on your neck or the thirst scratching your throat. No, the worst begins when the sun goes down. Because out here, laws don't work the way you're used to. There are no sirens, no phones to call for help. And justice? It isn't served in courtrooms. It's dealt out in alleys, behind saloons, or at the barrel of a gun. You walk through the town, boots clicking on uneven boards. The people watch you again. Not with curiosity, no. This time, it's calculation. You're new. You might be rich, or stupid, or both. Either way, you've got something someone else wants. Maybe it's your hat. Maybe it's your coat. Maybe it's your boots. Or maybe it's your blood. You pass the sheriff's office. Door closed. Lights out. The badge on the wall is tarnished, barely hanging. Maybe he's out. Maybe he's dead. Either way, you're on your own. The saloon is the only place with noise. Piano music stumbles out of tune. Glasses clink. Laughter roars, but it doesn't feel friendly. Inside, it's warm, smoky, crowded. Eyes flick toward you as you enter. You try not to meet them. You nod at the bartender. He doesn't smile, just wipes a glass and waits. You order something simple. Maybe just water. Maybe whiskey, because it hurts less. You keep your voice low. You keep your hands visible. You don't look around too much. You don't make jokes. You've heard the stories. One wrong word, and it's your last. Fights start fast. Over spilled drinks. Over dice. Over women. Or for no reason at all. You could bump someone's shoulder and wind up face down in the dirt before you finish apologizing. And if you think anyone will stop it, they won't. They'll just watch. Maybe laugh. Maybe place bets. You're not in a town. You're in a powder keg. And every drunk man, every twitchy cowboy, every outlaw with an itchy finger, they're all sparks waiting to catch. There's no backup, no cavalry, just your instincts. Someone stares at you from the far table. You glance back without thinking. Too long. He stands. Slowly. Walks your way. You can feel the room pause. Just slightly. A breath held. He leans close. You don't breathe. He says something you don't quite understand. His tone isn't angry, but it's not friendly either. You nod. You laugh awkwardly. He doesn't. He turns and walks away. You don't move until he's seated again. That was a test. One you passed, barely. But next time, maybe you won't. And out here, you don't get many second chances. The sheriff, if he exists, might show up later. He might drag someone out by the collar. Or he might join in the next fight. Because out here, sheriffs aren't heroes. They're just the toughest man in town until someone tougher shows up. You think about the stories back home. About good guys in white hats. About justice and redemption. You think about Hollywood gunfights, where the quick draw is clean and noble. It's not like that. Gunfights in real life are chaotic. Dirty. Loud. You don't stand and square up. You shoot from behind barrels. Through windows. In the back. Whoever hesitates dies. Whoever's lucky lives. And the unlucky? They bleed out in the dust, hoping someone cares enough to help. They usually don't. You leave the saloon with your heart pounding. You survived one night, but your name is known now. Your face is seen. If someone wants to find you, they will. And out here, reasons don't matter. They could kill you for a debt you didn't know you owed. Or for fun. Or for a mistake someone else made. You walk the streets like a shadow, trying to blend in. But your boots still sound loud. Your heartbeat louder. A man rides past you fast. He doesn't stop. You smell sweat and gunpowder. Later you hear someone was shot behind the stable. No one saw anything. No one's asking questions. Another day. Another body. It's strange how quickly you get used to it. The violence. The fear. It creeps into your bones. You stop making eye contact. You sit with your back to walls. You sleep with one hand near your belt. Even when you smile, you keep it small. Safe. Measured. Because out here, life is cheap. And dying is easy. You don't get warnings. You don't get explanations. And you certainly don't get mercy. A man gets drunk and shoots at the moon. Another shoots back because the noise startled his horse. A woman is accused of cheating at cards. She disappears. A fight breaks out over a missing coat. 2 people die. The coat is later found under a table. None of it makes sense. But all of it's real. You try to leave. Head for the plains. But violence waits there too. Bandits. Raiders. Desperate men who haven't eaten in days and don't care what they have to do. You could lose everything in a heartbeat. Your gear. Your horse. Your life. There are no safe places here. Just less dangerous ones. And so, you return to town. You learn the rules. Don't talk too much. Don't laugh too loud. Don't drink more than you can handle. Don't gamble unless you're ready to lose more than money. And don't ever draw first unless you're ready to kill. Eventually, it changes you. The fear becomes habit. The tension becomes normal. You start to forget how to trust, how to relax. You wake up expecting trouble. You fall asleep waiting for footsteps. And if you're lucky, you'll survive another day. But most didn't, because in the Wild West, death didn't ride in with trumpets and thunder. It crept through doors, hid in corners, smiled at you before it struck. And when it came fast. It's night in the Wild West. You've made it through the heat. You dodged fights. You kept your head down. But now the sun has slipped behind the horizon, and the world has changed again. It's not just the air that cools, it's the silence. Thick, still, uneasy. You need a place to sleep. That's all you want. A floor, a bed, a blanket. Just a quiet space where you can lie down and not worry what's creeping outside or who's creeping inside. But out here, even rest is a gamble. You walk the length of the town. One dim oil lamp flickers in a window. The streets are mostly empty. There's a boarding house down at the end of the lane. You push open the door. A woman behind the counter looks up, unimpressed. You ask for a room. Got silver? She asks flatly. You pull out a few coins. She takes them without a word and slides you a key. Room 6. You walk up the stairs. Each step groans under your weight. The air smells like sweat and mildew. Your room is small, barely wide enough to stretch your arms. The mattress sags in the middle. The sheets haven't been changed in weeks. There's a single cracked window that doesn't close. You lie down fully dressed. You keep your boots on. You hear footsteps outside. Voices. A door slams. Someone yells. Then silence. You don't sleep. Not really. You hover in that place between rest and readiness. Your eyes closed, your ears open. Every sound is a threat. Every creak is a warning. Because you know that the walls are thin and doors are just suggestions. If someone wants in, they'll get in. And if you're out cold, they'll take what you have. Or worse. So you sleep with your bag under your arm. One hand tucked close to your belt. You don't trust locks. You barely trust the bed. You're not afraid of ghosts. Only the living. This is life on the inside. Out on the plains, it's different. Worse in a way. If you couldn't afford a room, or if you were traveling, sleep meant the ground. Under the stars in the open. Just you, the cold air, and whatever wild things were watching. You build a small fire. Not too bright. Not too big. Because light attracts attention. Some of it human, some of it not. Coyotes howl nearby. Maybe wolves. Maybe bandits pretending to be both. You roll into your blanket, keeping your boots on again. You tuck your bag against your chest. You try to sleep. The wind whistles across the dry grass. Your fire flickers low. Your hands are cold. Your back aches. Every few minutes, you wake and check the darkness. Something rustles out there. Something snaps a twig. Is it a deer? A raccoon? Or someone with a knife and an empty stomach? You don't sleep deeply. You can't. You drift, eyes twitching open every time the fire pops or the wind shifts. The sky is black velvet. The stars look beautiful, but they're cold, distant, uncaring. Morning comes slowly in gray slivers. Your body is sore. Your blanket is damp with dew. Your mouth tastes like dirt, but you're alive. And in the West, that counts for something. Some folks try to sleep in wagons, others under them, still others in barns, if the farmer would allow it. But even those places had dangers. Rats, insects, snakes curling beside you for warmth, or a farmhand with sticky fingers and a quiet walk. Safety wasn't a place. It was a hope. Even in town, if you had money, you might rent a nicer room. One with curtains, a wash basin, a door that actually locked. But money painted a target on your back. Everyone knew the rich man had silver under his bed or in his boots. And when night fell, silver had a way of attracting knives. There were stories, you know, travelers who fell asleep behind churches or under trees and never woke up. No gunfire, no fight, just a quiet end. Sometimes their bodies were found with their boots gone, sometimes not found at all. People who grew up in the West learned how to sleep lightly. They trained themselves, learned which sounds were real danger and which were just the wind. Learned not to roll over too loudly. Learned to always face the door or the trail. And they never, ever drank too much before bed. Because a drunk man was an easy target. Outlaws roamed the roads, sure, but so did the desperate, the sick, the hungry. A bad night could be your last. One warm blanket might be the reason someone killed you. Even inside saloons, some men slept slumped at tables, others in corners. But you didn't dare pass out. You didn't trust anyone to watch your back. And the ones who offered to, they were often the first to rob you. So every night, whether in a bed or in the dirt, you learned to sleep with one eye open, to keep your thoughts sharp, to dream lightly, to pray quietly. Because in the Wild West, peace was never promised. And sleep? That was something you earned, if you were lucky. It's still early. The sky is pale blue, the sun not quite high yet. The ground crunches beneath your boots as you walk. You've had a little water, barely any sleep, but now you're hungry, not just uncomfortable. Hungry the way that makes your hands shake. That empties your mind of everything but food. You reach in your bag, nothing but crumbs. A crust of bread that turned stale days ago. You eat anyway. It doesn't help. So now, there's only one choice. You have to hunt. You've seen the movies, the books, the cowboy standing tall with a rifle across his shoulder, aiming calmly, cleanly, and taking down a deer in one shot. Neat, easy, heroic. That's not how this goes. You got a pistol. Heavy, cold, unfamiliar. You bought it cheap when you arrived. You never fired it. You check the chamber, just like they showed you. It holds 6 rounds. But your hands aren't steady. Your fingers are numb. You've already forgotten which way the safety works. Still, you set off into the trees, into the brush, looking for something, anything. You're hoping for a rabbit, maybe a bird, maybe something small that won't fight back. Because the truth is, you don't want to hurt anything. You just want to eat. But here in the Wild West, those two things often go hand in hand. You walk for hours. Everything is quiet. Too quiet. You're clumsy. Loud. Every step breaks twigs. Every branch you push aside snaps like thunder. Animals hear you coming long before you see them. You crouch. You wait. You listen. You think you hear something. A rustle in the bushes. Movement. You raise your pistol. Hands trembling. You wait. There's a flash of fur. You fire. The noise is deafening. The kick surprises you. The gun jumps in your hand, nearly flying from your grip. You didn't hit anything. Your ears ring. Your arm stings. You look around, nothing but dust and smoke. The thing you saw? Gone. Long gone. You fire again an hour later. Another miss. Then again. Another. Now you're down to 3 bullets. You realize something every Wild West greenhorn eventually learns. Shooting a gun is easy. Hitting something with it? That's hard. And hunting? Hunting takes skill, patience, silence, none of which you have. You're tired, hungry. You don't know where the animals are. You don't know how to track. You don't know what signs to follow or which prints belong to rabbits and which belong to wolves. You're a stranger in this land. So you keep walking, thirst climbing again, stomach cramping, and in your hand, that gun grows heavier. You finally see something, a rabbit, sitting still, staring right at you. You raise the pistol. Take a breath. Try to steady yourself. You fire. You miss. And then it's gone. Just like that. You drop your arm. You don't curse. You don't cry. You just go quiet. You understand now why people starved out here. Not for lack of animals, but for lack of skill. Because this land doesn't give. It doesn't care that you're new, that you're scared, that you've never had to kill your own food before. It expects you to know. And if you don't, it lets you fail. You think maybe you could trap something, but you have no traps. No rope. No but. You think maybe you could fish, but you don't know how to tie a hook. You don't even know where the water is anymore. You fire your last shot into the dirt. Not out of anger, just acceptance. Later, you pass a man with a rifle slung over his back. A skinned squirrel tied to his belt. His hands are stained with blood. His face is hard, silent. He's younger than you, or maybe older. It's hard to tell. He doesn't look at you, just walked by. He's a survivor. You're not. And out here, that difference means everything. People forget how complicated weapons are. They're not toys, not trophies. They're tools. And tools require knowledge, maintenance, discipline. You can't just point and shoot. You have to understand wind, distance, angle. You have to know how to clean your gun, how to load it fast, how to keep it dry when it rains and warm when it's freezing. Most people didn't, and those people didn't last. You start walking back to town. Your stomach still aches. You're tired now in a different way. Not just in your muscles, but in your spirit. Like something deep inside you just gave up. The land has defeated you. You find a patch of shade and sit. You pull off your boots and rub your feet. There's a hole in your sock. Your skin is raw. You wonder what'll kill you first. Starvation, dehydration, or just plain bad luck. And that pistol? It's empty now. You put it away. Out here, survival isn't about bravery. It's about knowing things. How to shoot, how to fish, how to clean water, how to stitch a wound, how to cook without poisoning yourself, how to hide, how to move without being heard, how to stay warm when the firewood is wet. You know none of it. And that's why you wouldn't survive. Because in the Wild West, the most dangerous thing you could carry was ignorance. You've been in this town for 3 days now. You've run out of food. You've run out of water more than once. You've missed meals, missed sleep, and missed the safety of everything you once took for granted. But today, you realize something even heavier than hunger, even colder than night. You are alone, not just physically, not just because you don't know anyone's name or because no one says hello, but because out here, loneliness is built into the land. It's part of the culture, a feature, not a flaw, and it presses in on you like a second skin. You try talking to someone at the general store, an older man with a leather vest and a gaze that cuts like glass. You ask him where you can find work. He says nothing, just looks at you, then turns away. You speak to the woman at the bakery. She gives you bread, sure, but no smile, no words, not even eye contact. Everyone here knows each other, their families, their farms, their grudges. And you're not part of any of it. You don't belong. And out here, that's dangerous. Because in the Wild West, trust isn't just scarce, it's a threat. Strangers could be bandits, fugitives, drifters who'd rob you in your sleep. No one wants to be the fool who let the wrong man in. So even the kind ones keep their kindness quiet. They don't invite you in. They don't offer help. They watch. They wait. And if you survive long enough, maybe they'll speak. Maybe. Until then, you walk through town like a ghost. People glance at you, then glance away. You hear your name mispronounced in whispers. You hear stories about you that aren't true. Or maybe they are now. It doesn't matter. Truth isn't as important as reputation. And yours? You don't have one. So when supplies run low, you pay more. When someone steals from you, no one helps. When you fall in the mud, people look, but they don't lift a finger. You try to be friendly. You try to smile. But smiling here can be misread. Too much friendliness, and people think you want something. Or you're hiding something. Or you're weak. So you stop. You stop smiling. You stop speaking. And soon you stop feeling. You become quiet. Careful. Like everyone else. You try to sit near others in the saloon. They shift away. You eat alone. Walk alone. Sleep alone. And slowly, you start to forget what it was like to be around warmth. Laughter. Company. You start to understand what the Wild West really was. It wasn't just hot, or violent, or lawless. It was lonely. Terribly, crushingly lonely. You had to be tough to live here. But not just tough with your fists. Tough in your heart. You had to build walls inside yourself. Because if you relied on others, if you hoped too hard, they'd disappoint you. Or worse, betray you. So everyone kept to themselves. Everyone watched their backs. Everyone said little and revealed less. A man you meet one day over a shared campfire talks about his brother. Next day, he won't look you in the eye. You ask him what changed. He shrugs. Trust don't come easy out here, he mutters. And that's that. You realize why people drank so much. Why they stared into their cups like they held memories. It wasn't just the danger, or the work, or the heat. It was the ache of never being understood, of never letting your guard down, of never, ever being safe enough to just be human. Even love was dangerous. Marriages were often about survival, not affection. Families stuck together more from duty than warmth. Affection was a luxury, and luxuries were for the dead. So you stop hoping for a friend, and something inside you hardens. But here's the thing. Sometimes someone does reach out. A young boy offers you a slice of apple. You take it with shaky hands. Say thank you. He grins. Then his mother yanks him away, whispers something in his ear. He doesn't come near you again. And you wonder, was that a kindness? Or a mistake? Was she protecting him? Or you? You'll never know. And so, night after night, you sit by yourself, watching the fire burn low, listening to coyotes cry in the distance. You think about home. You think about your old neighbors. The shopkeeper who smiled when you walked in. The streetlight that always buzzed at night. The way your name sounded when someone said it kindly. And you realize something simple. You miss being known. Out here, survival is about more than food or water or bullets. It's about connection. And in the Wild West, that was often the first thing to die. You wake up early. Not because you're rested, but because your stomach hurts. A deep, twisting kind of pain that doesn't go away when you stretch. You sit up, blinking at the dusty light sliding through the cracked window. Something's wrong. Not just tired, not just sore, but wrong. You reach for your canteen and take a sip. The water tastes metallic, slightly sour, but it's the only thing you have. The only thing you've had for days. The pain doesn't leave. It moves. Lower. Sharper. You try to stand, but the room tilts. Your vision blurs. You catch yourself against the wall. You're sick. And out here, in the Wild West, that's more dangerous than any outlaw. Because medicine, doctors, hospitals, none of that means what you think it means. You stumble into the street. It's early. A few shop doors creak open. A dog barks once and disappears. You ask someone if there's a doctor in town. They point toward the edge of town. Doc Brown, they say. If he's sober. You find a house. Knock twice. No answer. Knock again. A tired man opens the door, squinting at the light. He's wearing a wrinkled shirt and smells like whiskey. You explain your symptoms. He waves you inside. The room is dark, cluttered. Bottles everywhere, some medicine, some not. Instruments on the table, most of them rusted. He tells you to sit. You do. He asks if you've been drinking clean water. You pause. Define clean. He nods slowly. He's seen this before. You've likely drunk from a bad stream, or from an old well, or a tin bucket that hadn't been rinsed in months. Doesn't matter. The West is full of poison water, full of invisible things that make their home inside your gut and tear you up from the inside out. He gives you something bitter to drink, something that burns your throat. He tells you to lie down. He tells you it might help, or it might not. Because out here, treatment is guesswork. There are no antibiotics, no IVs, no sterile tools, no tests, just herbs, hope, and maybe prayer. And even those are in short supply. You spend the rest of the day curled up on a borrowed cot. Your body trembles. You vomit. You sweat, then shiver, then sweat again. Your muscles cramp. You cry out, quietly, because you don't want to seem weak. Nobody visits. Nobody checks in, except the doctor. Once. And then, not again. You start to feel cold, even as your forehead burns. Your breathing becomes slow, heavy, and for a while, you wonder if this is it. If this land, with all its dust and danger, has finally claimed you. And here's the truth no one tells you. More people in the West died from things you can't see than from gunfights or duels. It wasn't the bullets that ended most lives. It was the water, the spoiled meat, the infected wound, the fever that burned too long, the childbirth gone wrong, the sore that turned septic. Out here, death was a quiet companion, and it didn't knock before entering. You remember hearing once that cholera could kill in a day. That dysentery could drain a man of everything he had before nightfall. That one infected tooth could poison your blood and end you in your sleep. You remember, too, that no one's coming to save you. Because out here, death is normal, expected, and often unnoticed. A man drops dead in the street. Someone drags him to the undertaker. If he's lucky, someone pays for a box. If not, a blanket will do. The preacher says a few words, if he's around. Then it's over. Life moves on. There's no mourning period. No flowers. No ceremony. Just dust. Always dust. You don't die a legend. You don't die remembered. You just go. The next morning, you wake up. Alive. Barely. You're weak. Empty. But your eyes still open. Your hands still move. Your breath still rises in your chest. You're one of the lucky ones. But it's changed you. You'll never drink from a random stream again. You'll never trust a water barrel without boiling it. You'll never eat meat that smells even slightly wrong. And you'll never forget what it felt like to look death in the eye and blink first. Out here, that's survival. But for everyone like you, there are 100 graves without names. Crosses made from broken fence posts, buried beside the road, beneath the hills, behind old churches. Some of them were travelers. Some were children. Some were strong men who caught a fever and faded in 3 days. It didn't matter who you were. Illness didn't care about your name, and the land didn't miss you when you were gone. So the next time you hear a story about the good old days of the Wild West, think of this. The greatest killer wasn't a six-shooter. It was a spoonful of water. the quiet death, the forgotten grave. And now you know why. You wouldn't survive a day in the Wild West. If you enjoyed this journey into the gritty truth of the Wild West, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let history rock you to sleep every night. Sweet dreams, and stay out of the saloon.